Okay, I need to share with you this dream that I had back in April of 2023. Although I do believe there are some prophetic things in this dream, I do believe a lot of it is a message that God has for people, but especially for the church. So if you have any thoughts or ideas, or if God reveals something to you, please put it in the comments. Let me know. Let me start with the dream. So the dream starts with me and my husband, and I think a couple of other people are in the house just doing normal, everyday things that you do inside your home, and the TV was on. And then all of a sudden, a special news report came on, and it was like an urgent news report. And it was talking about visible UFOs in the sky. And then it started talking about how we have visitors from outer space coming, and that you can look up in the sky and see them. So it was daylight right at this time of the dream. And we heard this report and we decided to look up. Now, we were still inside the house, but when we looked up through the ceiling, it was almost like we could see the universe. Now, even though it was daylight, what we were seeing was in the dark, kind of like what you would see if you were looking through a telescope or if you were actually in space. So we just saw the stars and planets and everything else, and we didn't see anything, nothing moving around up in outer space. We didn't see these UFOs that they were talking about, or any people from other planets coming down. So we just kind of were like, and then we went right back to our normal everyday things. Then all of a sudden, the dream switched, and me and my husband and my family and hundreds of other people were walking through this field. Now, at this time, it was evening. It wasn't dark, but it was kind of like dinner time evening when it's starting to get a little dark. So we're all walking across this field, and it looked like a field after the harvest. So like corn that, stalks out have already been chopped up and are turning brown. It wasn't dead, it was like after a harvest. So we were walking towards this stadium. And the reason we were walking towards this stadium is because everybody had heard about this revelation or this show that was going to happen, that was supposed to be extremely realistic, almost like you were in the middle of it and like it was actually happening, a 3D show. And the show was going to be about what's going to happen when the rapture happens. What is it going to look like? And so everybody was extremely excited. So the trek across this long field, even though it was long, everybody was so excited and everybody was talking about it, and they couldn't wait to get there to see this 3D show. And I'm not saying it's a movie, I'm saying it was a show. And so the excitement in the air was unbelievable at this time. So then we get to the stadium, and it is huge. I can't even explain how big the stadium is, because I've never seen anything so big. I've never seen a building so tall. And it held millions upon millions of people. And everybody was piling in to this stadium, and it was an open stadium. I don't know if you've seen Mile High Stadium or football stadiums that are open. There's no lid or no ceiling to the stadium, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And that's kind of how it was. So everybody's piling into the stadium, and we were too. And we just couldn't believe how many people were there. And everybody was so excited. I mean, the excitement in the air of people talking and chatting about it. And I mean, it was electrifying. That's how exciting it was. There were some people going to a concession stand and getting, their popcorn and their drinks, and other people were finding their seats and sitting down. I don't know how seats were assigned, but we were walking up these stairs, and they were concrete stairs, almost kind of like in a hallway, kind of like the back stairs you would do in like in a hospital or something like that. So they were concrete stairs, and we were walking up these big, wide concrete, solid concrete stairs to get to our seat. And our seat was all the way at the very tip top. You could see everything in that stadium. And I mean everything, everybody and everything going on. To give you an idea how high we were, we had to put seatbelts on in our seat. So we sat down and we put seatbelts on. Then my attention went to, there were these, like a panel of people, kind of like what you would see for the Macy's parade. And so they were sitting there and they were broadcasting about what was going on in the anticipation of what was about to happen. And so I looked at these panel of people, and one of the people that I noticed, you know what, I'm going to say her name, was Whoopi Goldberg. Now, I know she is the furthest from having a relationship with Christ. But she was talking about people being there and what we were about to see. And she was touched emotionally. She was crying. She was sincere. And she was anticipating what was going to happen. Another thing about Whoopi Goldberg is the reason she was crying, it was almost like she was giving a testimony of salvation. And it was so heartfelt. And I remember thinking, what is she doing here? In an odd and quizzical way. And then I looked down and you could see the bottom of the stadium, kind of like where the football players come out. And I see this couple walking across the stadium. And even though we were so high, I could tell exactly who it was walking in. And you'll never believe who it was. It was Bill and Hillary Clinton. Again, I looked at them, and even more so, I was like, what in the world are they doing here? Knowing, once again, that they are the furthest thing from Christ-like or having a relationship with Christ. Anyway, so they were walking across the bottom, and then it was like in the dream, God hit me with, why shouldn't they be here? Haven't I called everyone to have a relationship with me? And we're so focused on righteousness that sometimes we forget about the people who need to experience God, who need to hear about salvation. And also there was a feeling of the people that we don't think are living a righteous life. It's not over for them. God still has a plan for each and every one of them. He just needs them to open up their heart. So that was the feeling I got with that. But the dream didn't end there. So after I saw Bill and Hillary Clinton walking in the middle, it was time for the show to start. So everybody looked up thinking that the heavens were going to roll back and we were going to see what heaven looked like and what it was going to be like. But instead, the show started down at the bottom of the stadium, kind of like where Bill and Hillary had just crossed, in the middle of the stadium. And it was fantastic. It was 3D, and it was so realistic you could almost reach out and touch it like you were right in the middle of this show. And although this was something that everybody had anticipated to see, there was a lot of people who weren't even paying attention. They were talking to their neighbors. They were getting up, going to the restroom. They were eating their snacks or going to get more snacks. I mean, just like what you would see at a football game or something like that. And these people before were very anxious to see this. And it was almost like they were like, okay, skip through this part. Because what was being showed in this movie, this 3D movie, was history of creation and Jesus's ministry and his birth and his crucifixion and all of that, and his resurrection. And that's what it was about. And it was almost like everybody was saying, yeah, okay, we know this part, read about it, seen it, got it, but what we want to see is what is it going to look like when the rapture happens. That's kind of what I was feeling, was people just wanted to skip ahead and fast forward to the rapture instead of what was going on right now or what they were learning. Now, before we could get to the end of the show, the part where the heavens were rolled back and the rapture happened, the scene shifted again. And me and my husband, and I know there were some other people there, I think even our daughter was there, were walking down those concrete stairways. And then there was these dark figures, evil spirits, and they were chasing us. And we had these keys. They were golden keys, and they looked like those old skeleton keys, the old-fashioned skeleton keys. And they were big. And we were carrying these keys, and these evil spirits were coming after us, trying to take the keys away from us. So we were running up and down these stairways. At one time, it was almost like we got cornered, and these spirits were just flying through the staircase. And at one point, we were slowing down. We were getting tired, and we were slowing down. Then all of a sudden, these golden flakes started falling from the sky, and they landed on us. And all of a sudden, we got this supernatural stamina and strength. And now we could fly. And so we were flying through the stairways and flew way, way, way up to a high place. And that's where my dream ended, and that's when I woke up. What's my take on this dream? Or what did I feel about this dream? Well, the first part I felt in the very beginning was the urgent report that there were UFOs in the sky and that we were having visitors, alien visitors, come from other planets. First of all, it was daylight. And Jesus and God resembles light. So here we were doing normal everyday things, hearing about this report, and then we looked up into the heavens and we saw nothing. So we knew it wasn't right, it wasn't true. Not only that, but we were inside of a home. And so God's house is where his presence is. And we were in the house when we looked up into the heavens. So we were still in his presence. And to me, that represented truth, that we were inside the house of truth. And we saw nothing. So there's that. Then going across the field, sundown. Interesting that a lot of the Jewish feasts that are celebrated, they don't start until sundown. Sabbath doesn't start until sundown. And that's when there's the celebration. And then we were walking across a field that had been harvested. I'm not saying this was supposed to be after the rapture, but I'm just saying harvest was a big deal. I'm not really so sure about the stadium, but it was, a bunch of people that were there. I mean, millions and millions of people. And so I'm not really sure exactly what to think about that part, but maybe you can give me some ideas of what you feel God is telling you about that. And of course, every time I talked about high, as a high place. We are up high, and God is in the high places. And the seatbelt, I think it's strap in. I think that's strap in. We're going to be going through some rough times, and you'll be able to see what's going on and what the enemy is trying to plan or do. The two people, or the three people, I should say, that I saw, I truly believe that is a reprimand from God about how we assume that people who seem like they are so far from God cannot be saved, that we think we are above or more righteous than they, and then we wonder, why are you in this place? Why are you seeking God? And I think it was God telling us, why aren't you trying to get them excited about what's in store for the future? I mean, that's up to us to talk to these people, to disciple people. That's what he told us to do. I think the concrete steps talks about stability and strength. So anytime we were in there, I think that's what that talks about. During the show, when everybody was just doing whatever, I think that's where the churches are right now. They go to church and, hey, I'm there, and I think people view it as a show. As, hey, we're here, we got the worship going on, we're going to hear a little message, good to go, then we're all going to go out to lunch and fellowship. And everybody's like, yeah, we're here, we're doing our thing, checking off our list, and we're just waiting for the time when Jesus comes and takes us all home. But they're not basking in the here and now. They're not trying to grow in their relationship with God. Nor are they wanting to learn more about Him, to get to know Jesus more and what God's plan is. That's kind of what I got from that. Everybody just wants to fast forward to the rapture, but here we got people in the stadium who need to know who God is. And they're hungry. And they're weeping. And what are we doing? Oh, just bring us to the rapture. That's kind of what I got out of it. Then there's the keys. Of course, gold is the symbol, I believe, of God in heaven and royalty. And the keys are for the kingdom. And the enemy is chasing after those who have the keys to the kingdom, and they're trying to take it away from us. Also, when Jesus went, after he was crucified, he went and grabbed the keys of hell, and he took them away. And so I believe that the enemy is trying to take them back. And we can see that through society and everything that's going on, and the degradation of morals and ethics and godliness is just deteriorating throughout society and the world. I believe the gold flakes that were falling on us was sustenance from God. It was heavenly manna that if we look to God, He will give us the strength and the power to resist the evil in this world and to escape the tactics of the enemy and what the enemy is trying to do to destroy us or take away our righteousness or make us walk away from salvation. And so we are given the strength and the power from God, from heaven above. And when we accept it and allow it to fall on us, then we can soar to the high places and escape evil and to escape Satan's plans to try to destroy us or destroy our families or to even destroy the church. He knows time is nearing. He knows that we're at the end, and he is ramping up, doing whatever he can to cause confusion. He is lying to the masses, and people are falling for it. People are listening and they're believing. It's unreal. I can't even believe half the things that I see people are believing. Most of it doesn't even make any common sense. It's ridiculous. Anyways, so that's my dream. Tell me what you think. What are your thoughts? Did you pray upon it? And what did God reveal to you? I really want to know.